Hello, Keith McCarrick, Pennsburg. Looking over the agenda this afternoon, I saw a few items. Under the personnel report, under this item C, support staff, there's two paraprofessionals, number 1 and 2. What's the purpose of a stipend, paying a stipend to a part-time employee? I find that strange. Okay, one employee's getting a stipend, the other's not. Next item, D, is the rate schedule of athletic events. Just a comment. I noticed the dollar amounts along all those things, except where, as noted per hour, I'm hoping that all the other amounts are to be considered per event and not per hour for some of those, because that can add up to a lot of money, I would imagine. Section 8, action items, item G. As the solicitor brought up earlier, I see that you're voting on that tonight to give the solicitor and the superintendent the power to resolve this with Upper Hanover. Don't expect an answer on this either, but I'm just hoping that when they say minor modifications, I hope that all board members have an idea what those minor modifications may be and what the cost impact to the district and the taxpayers may be. Business reports. I've been coming to the meetings and looking at these finance reports, and I really don't have a clear understanding of where the district sits according to some of these reports. It'd be nice if at some point in time we could get an explanation, a detailed explanation of the finance reports, because like I'm looking at it on page 3 from this month, under the investment accounts ending 1/31/17, we had 2.3 million combined for the capital fund and general fund. On pages 4 and 5 of the investment accounts ending February, under the capital fund, under the summary of capital reserve, we had 3.7 million. Capital projects, we had 90,000. The PLGIT/ARM, we had 675,000. Excuse me. Total of that, I think I made a mistake there. It comes up to a sizable amount, but I think I missed a number in there somewhere. But I had that as 12 million. I may be wrong. I'm going to have to go back and check that one. Under the general fund, all those accounts there, up to about $28 million. If my numbers are correct, that's about $40 million, but we really don't see that stated as a bottom line for the school district. So it'd be nice if we could get an overall picture of our financial aspect for the district, seeing as we're going into a $56 million construction project that we just signed a note, or are going to sign a note for $10 million. I think we did that, put that out for bid just a few months ago, correct? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGarry.
Okay, so the paraprofessionals, Ashley, do you want to talk about that?
So the paraprofessionals, there are 2 different ways that you can be a paraprofessional here in the district. It's either that you are a para, a one-to-one with a student, or you are a personal care assistant. If you are a personal care assistant, your duties are far more involved and are more personal care of a child. So that's where that stipend comes in. It's for the level of work done with that. And then the rate schedule where it says hours is hours, and where it doesn't, it is per event.
Thank you.
Are there any other,
And if I could respond to the other comment, there won't be any modifications made to the agreement that the solicitor will sign off on that the board hasn't seen. So you'll see every change, that every modification to confirm in your own minds that it is a minor modification.
thank you very much. Are there any other comments on agenda items?
Yes.
I'm Melanie Cunningham, Upper Hanover. I'd also like to discuss action item G. I now realize that you do understand that December 5th you voted to pretty much bring suit on Upper Hanover Township with regard to the conditions that they were requiring from the district with regard to the safety of the walking students. And I can tell that you know now. Do any of you realize that in 1998 there was a PennDOT study that deemed Montgomery Avenue as hazardous to walking students? Do you also realize that in all these years, there's no action by the district to restrict any students from walking on Montgomery Avenue since it was deemed hazardous? Motion that is action item G is deceptive. You're being asked to vote on an offer to Upper Hanover only. This can be changed by your council at will. The only purpose for this premature motion is so your solicitor can wave it around in court, yes, in court, to try to say everything is settled between Upper Hanover and Upper Park when it's not close. The fact is that Upper Hanover is holding steady on their position because they're worried about the safety of the students on Montgomery Avenue. This motion is also flawed because it only assumes a settlement between Upper Hanover School District, Upper Park School District and Upper Hanover. This motion should allow a settlement between the school district, Upper Hanover, the interveners, and even Pennsburg, who has now voted to try to intervene in your suit. So if your intervention is allowed, then your motion isn't any good. In good conscience, I don't think you can possibly delegate your responsibility to the safety of the students, and I'm talking to the board now, to those students, to a bunch of lawyers who don't even live in this valley. So I wanted to just remind you of that. Upper Hanover has not considered the proposed settlement, I don't believe. This is only the school district side, and it's foolish to believe that after all this time that Upper Hanover is going to just miraculously say, okay, we'll just do whatever you guys ask us for. So, and on action item G, number 2, I don't know how you can possibly vote for this at all. And I'll read it to you. It says, the Board of Supervisors of Upper Hanover Township shall likewise authorize its council to execute a settlement stipulation substantially similar to the draft settlement stipulation. And hopefully you've seen this draft settlement stipulation. You're actually voting to tell Upper Hanover that they must or shall authorize their solicitor to execute this stipulation. Are you serious? Or how can any of you think you're going to tell a township to authorize their council to settle? I understand that. And what is substantially similar? Are you all okay with delegating this kind of discretion to attorneys? The safety of the children is the issue. And I think Attorney Bruce touched on this, but what constitutes a minor modification? And what does that even mean? Your council wants to take away your authority to resolve this issue. This motion basically says to give your attorney the authority to decide for you. The problem with that is that the public voted for the school board, not for your attorneys. So I wondered why the proposal wasn't attached to the agenda. I'm pretty sure everyone here would really like to look at it and comment on it because it involves all of us. I'm sure Upper Hanover has it, so why can't we see it? I'm not sure what's so secret about sidewalks. I've been to all the Upper Hanover meetings and obviously all of these meetings. So I'm hoping that maybe one of you board members would maybe stand up and read it, because you can. And that would be really great. So once again, I just feel like you guys are keeping the public in the dark, and I don't like it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, I'd be happy to break down what this motion actually does say. What it says is that you're authorizing your council to execute a stipulation once it has been negotiated with Upper Hanover Township. It resolves the appeal. The appeal the settlement is conditioned upon the Board of Supervisors of Upper Hanover Township accepting it. In other words, this isn't telling Upper Hanover Township that they will accept it. This is litigation. This is why it was discussed in executive session, because you can't really settle litigation through public conversation much of the time. So what happens is the parties negotiate their position respectively, just with any other type of lawsuit. We believe we have come up with a resolution that is, and Upper Hanover Township their board will be voting upon this, I believe, next Tuesday night. But we believe that this is something that can and should be acceptable to both sides. And at this point, in order for this to move forward, both boards have to approve it. One board can't approve it for both sides. So what this board is being asked to do tonight is to approve the terms and conditions that were shared with them in executive session. And once, and if and when it's approved also by Upper Hanover Township, it will become a public record, which anyone can see. As far as what the minor modifications are, as I said earlier, we're talking about fine points in the agreement, last minute word changes so that we don't have to come back and reconvene this board for a special board meeting just to add a few, to change a few words at the last minute. Nothing, though, will be signed by any lawyer, at least from our office representing the school district, that the entire board hasn't seen. And if anybody wants to contend that it's a major or more minor modification, you'll have the opportunity to do that. But that's not what those modifications mean. The deal that was presented to the board in executive session for their consideration is for all intents and purposes, what we expect to be the final deal. So it's up to both boards, this board and the Upper Hanover Township Board, whether or not they accept it or not, but both parties have to approve it, and that's what the board's being asked to do tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce. Mr. Cunningham, do you have anything on the agenda items?
Steve Cunningham, Hereford Township. Yeah, just my response to Ken is, it says the words shall likewise authorize. Kind of means they should be doing it.
Read where it says condition as follows. In other words,
I don't have that document. I just have the agenda.
Here, right at the very top of the page.
Condition as follows. Shall
Approving the appeal, and it says their approval by this board is conditioned upon Upper Hanover. In other words, both sides have to approve it independently. That's what that says.
My comment is just to bridge off of what my mother said, is to number 4. It shouldn't have to be released as public record upon approval. I mean, I don't see any reason why it couldn't be read out loud or at least released so the public can actually see it. And second, I don't think it should be behind any closed doors about what any kind of modifications are or let anyone else do your job. You got elected to make your own decisions. I think you guys should be able to make them. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Since we don't have any other requests, we'll move on to the committee reports. Facility Committee, Mr. Price.
Thank you. First, I attended several meetings with the construction committee, talked about lead certification. I also, so everything's moving forward. I also attended a couple meetings with Upper Hanover supervisors who basically told us what were expressed, their ideas of what they wanted in this situation, and we listened to them.
Thank you, Mr. Pike. Special education, Dr. Drake.
There was no meeting this month because we have the steering team meeting, which is going to present, I think, March 23rd. So, but we did have some informal discussions about having a breakout meeting, possibly to discuss transition services once the children exit the school district. So that's not scheduled yet, but that's something that I'd like to talk about a little further, maybe in the workshop.
Thank you, Dr. Drake. Policy Committee, Mrs. Smith.
We are currently working on a date for a policy meeting. Everybody.
Can I ask a question to her?
Yes.
At this time, when we have the next policy committee meeting, I know we had talked about opening up our gyms on Sundays because of all the large number of youth programs that are in this area, whether it's soccer or baseball or basketball or whatever. And the more times we give our kids opportunities to involve in extracurricular activities, we know all the wonderful benefits that come along with that. Is that on the agenda for this policy committee meeting?
It will be on the agenda for this policy committee.
Fantastic.
Yeah, John has done a lot of work to work on the policy, so we do have a proposed policy that we'll be bringing to committee.
And that includes the AR?
It is the. Yes, it's the.
That's the point.
Well, you said policy, not.
Oh.
Any other policy report, Mr. Smith? Board communications, Mr. Elliott?
We've had things come, I mean, we always see it. Although it's been a little quiet lately. When they do come in, we disseminate them to the board. Just like to remind members of the community that the board communication line is available for ideas, thoughts, sharing your feelings. Feel free to use that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott.
Do you have anything recently?
You know, I'll be quite honest, I think we had something come in a week ago.
Did you send it to us?
No, I haven't sent it to you. I apologize. I've been very busy with work and this and everything else. I will get it out tonight. How about that? Okay.
Western Montgomery Center, Mr. Gahan?
Things are going well down there at the center. The culinary arts have set up a,
This afternoon to all the board members and Dr. McGowan. And some of my questions were answered in the back, but I want to read the letter to you to give you my understanding of what we're doing. At first, the meeting was only supposed to be 30 minutes long, so I'm the reason why it was longer. Because in my first sentence, it says you're not serious about spending 30 minutes to talk about an 8-page legal document. It's probably enough time to explain the situation, but not enough time to answer questions. I spent some time last night reviewing and I finished it up on my lunch hour. And with that said, I believe we need to table this motion because I think we need to have a full conversation. Now, we did have a full conversation back there, but I don't understand why we're rushing if their negotiations are almost done. And if they're almost done, why don't we wait until they are done? Why would the board approve a draft legal document? The stipulation to settlement states that we're giving the lawyer the ability to alter what we're voting on. What's the definition of minor modifications? We did get an idea of that. Any modification by the board after it's approved is wrong. Actually, I'm a little insulted because the board member was being asked to vote on a legal binding contract without even having the final version. What happens if we don't agree to the minor modifications or the cost associated with the agreement? Because we don't even know what the cost is now. We got a couple of numbers tossed around, but we don't have the full numbers. The title is the document is stipulation to the settlement, which leads me to believe there's another document called settlement, but I'm told there wasn't. The board did not have time to review a number of items before we got the stipulation. We did get to look at Exhibit A and B. We did not get Exhibit C and D that's also mentioned in the contract. Actually, there was no C. It went from A, B to D, to be completely honest here. We didn't talk about past hazardous walking route, the traffic study, what it showed, because we didn't get a copy of it. We didn't get a copy of the district's appeal lawsuit filed by Upper Hanover Township. We didn't get a cost analysis of busing the students versus providing permanent sidewalks. We didn't get cost projections for the sidewalks. The addresses of the properties that will be affected by an eminent domain, we didn't get those. Well, there was one or two. I think we said 5. They pointed out the houses on the pictures, but I don't have addresses. Estimated legal fees associated with acquiring all the necessary right-of-way, the easements by negotiation or eminent domain, or even surveying or civil engineering costs weren't provided. We did talk about the bike path and residents intervening lawsuit. I was emailed that when we were in there. The agreement to me sounds like that the school district's agreeing to anything Upper Hanover request to get the waivers approved, but we don't know what the cost is going to be. It appears we don't care how much it would cost because we're just going to deep digger in the taxpayers' pockets. When these minor modifications turn into millions of dollars, why is the school district fighting so hard against installing the sidewalks? Well, that question was answered. They're not fighting against it. They're actually going to put them in.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to bring a point of order. forward.
We don't know-
I think Mrs. Hopkins is bringing out information that was in executive session and is not quite
No, I'm not.
appropriate.
I'm reading the letter.
Let's let Mr. Russo speak to that, please.
Ms. Hopkins is certainly free to read her letter, but the recitation of the letter is going beyond just reading the letter. It's actually stating what was said in executive session in response to the petition. So really, it should just be reading the
All right,
letter.
then I'll just finish reading the letter.
Thank you.
So if we're fighting, so why are we fighting so hard? If fighting and competing for grants with 2 municipalities over sidewalks, forging community partners, as is our new mission statement, rumor has it that we're currently competing with Pennsburg for a sidewalk grant. Is that true?
We're not competing with anybody. I mean, we're competing with everybody that put in for a grant, absolutely, and there's many.
So we already did put in for a sidewalk.
You know they are.
We put in for a sidewalk grant, but there's a lot of people that put in for a sidewalk grant.
I think what you're asking is if, I know what you're asking, and the answer is yes. If that's what you're asking, it's the multimodal grant. If that's what you're asking, the
So
district put one in and so did
We're
Pennsburg.
suing one
But
township
it's not
and competing with
it's not
another.
competing. Well, but I'm just
I'd
saying
like to explain
Go
this
ahead.
because the district put one in, you're correct. Pennsburg put one in too.
For the same grant.
It's separate. It's the same grant. It's not the same project. So,
But only one is gonna win.
No. This is a pot of money. So but yes, what happens is it's a competitive grant. So there's a certain amount of dollars and then there's a certain amount of proposals that gets put in. All right, we're not putting our project in with Pennsburg, which would strengthen actually both of our proposals and push it to the top.
Competing with one township or borough and then suing another is no way to bring the community together to support a middle school. So I was warning all the board members to remember, the last time we were told to, a motion on the board agenda to approve a contract, the motion was 5 or 6 lines long, and we didn't have the contract in front of us. We were told that motion was similar to what the contract was going to be. That contract turned out to be 5 or 6 pages when it was actually written. So approving a draft legal binding document allowing minor modifications has to be the most insane thing I ever heard of while I was on this board. While I would consider, I would not consider, I'm not considering it, put it that way. I'm not even going to finish.
I'd like to second her motion to table.
I'll make a motion that we table it.
I second.
We have a motion to table. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call?
Raise your
hand for no or yes.
We'll take care of the counting.
Oh, raise your hand so we can see who raised it.
All in favor of the motion to table, please raise their hand. All in favor, do not. To oppose it, raise their hand.
Here's what happened. There was a proceeding in front of the Upper Hanover Township, and they issued what's called a conditional approval, which meant that the approval had many conditions beyond what the school district had originally proposed. The school district took the position that some of those conditions weren't legally required. So that's an appeal. The appeal goes to the court. Once the appeal goes to the court, then the township and the school district are free to resolve any open issues in a way that they feel, is a mutual benefit to the school district and the township.
So is that a lawsuit, or is that a countersuit, or what do you call that?
It's an appeal. It's an appeal to a court. Is it a lawsuit?
litigation.
It's not, lawsuit isn't really a term of art. It's an appeal of a, it's an appeal of a conditional use approval. I don't know how else, that's exactly what it is. If you want to call it a lawsuit, you call it a lawsuit. If you want to call it an appeal, it's no more of a lawsuit than somebody appealing their taxes.
All right, so where I come out on this is, number one, I got it 3 days ago. It's a little strange to get an article in Town and Country about the same time that we get information as a board, right? That's a little disturbing to me, number one. Number two, we have an architect, a project manager, and 2 attorneys who are building a massive project. To have a huge cost come in at the last minute, to me, I mean, that should be things that you do the zoning and all that first. So it's a little surprising to me. I don't like the timing of it. Again, it's another rush. It's the 3rd, 4th, or 5th. I lost count how many things are being rushed like this. Huge cost, and I think it's wrong, and I'm going to vote against it.
Do we have a second on this?
We do.
Dr. Drake, from my 16 years of having sat on the Upper Hanover Township Planning Commission, it's not unusual for additional things to come out of the woodwork. This is not out of the ordinary. For things to come up that were totally unexpected. Townships, not just Upper Hanover Township, townships all over the state, all over the country, in their infinite wisdom, come up with different things that just pop up through discussions and whatnot. So this is not unusual. That this is over and above what was anticipated. It's not unusual at all.
Thank you. Mr. Warner, you did make a motion?
That is correct. Mr. Pike, second.
Okay, we have a motion and second on the floor. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Can we have a show of hands, please?
Roll call.
Take a roll call,
Mr. Elliott?
Yep.
Mrs. Hopkins?
No.
Mr. Pike?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Farris?
please. Yes?
Mr. Gamey?
No.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Ms. Picard?
No.
Dr. Drake?
No.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
That's Sheldon from Pennsburg. I have a question. Are the legal fees that are being accrued for Upper Hanover towards the middle school, are they being billed against or accounted for against the project, or are they just being put in for normal school bills?
Our school bills?
Yes, I mean, with what you're doing right now with Upper Hanover for the middle school.
Right.
Are the legal fees that you're accruing,
Oh,
are these all being put against the project of the middle school? Or are they being put into the general
They're in
budget?
general budget, aren't they? They're coming out of general budget.
Why wouldn't they go against the project?
They could, or they could just
I
come
would
from
think
our
it's
general
a part of
budget.
your, it's a part, you would not be having these bills if it wasn't for the middle school. They should be going against the middle school.
And they could come out of either pot, but they're coming from the general fund.
But
I
I'm making
understand
a
what
comment
you're
that these bills would not be happening had they not been a middle school prompting them. And this is a middle school project, so I would think the bills, you'd have the bills against that project.
Thank you.
Following up on that, that was one of the questions I actually had. You know, we saw that these legal fees, we have the water bill fees. I think you just said that the 3 checks written for the Clean Water Fund were applications. At the end of this, can we have a true accounting of the construction project of both the funds that we spend for what we borrow and anything that comes out of the general fund also, or any other accounts? So that if we take it out of the general fund or the capital fund, we have all those costs accounted for in some project cost, total project cost, no matter where they were incurred, where they were paid from. Okay, observation during the meeting was you had more conversation on the pay rates for the contracted employees than we have on some of the other big budget items for the district. One other comment, And I'll have to disagree with, and it's not a personal attack, I'll have to disagree with the fact that it was said that this is not unusual to have litigation between the townships and other entities. This is unusual in the fact that most litigation in planning projects or construction projects might be between two entities. This one's between three. It's the school district, it's Upper Hanover, and it's Pennsburg at this time also. Because you are, even though you are putting in for a grant for whatever it may be, that does compete against Pennsburg at the same time, because they're trying to go for that grant also. And as you said, there is a pool of money, and only so many people will get that money. And if we had worked together from the start, and everybody knew about all the projects from the start, and had all these considerations from the start, we might have been able to do something better. Thank you.
Hi, Michelle Shive from Pennsburg. I was wondering who's responsible for writing the minutes in general? Is that Sandra or Dr. McGloin?
Well, actually, it's either myself or my administrative assistant.
What are we paying you for?
Specifically January 12th minutes? Was that you?
Yes.
Okay. In the minutes, it states, Michelle Shive, Pennsburg, stated that she didn't understand, that's me, by the way, the tax presentation given by Attorney Bruce. She wanted an example for $150,000 of assessment and what taxes would cost over the years 2017 to 2020. Then it says she was directed to the UPSD website calculator.
Okay.
That's a lie, a blatant lie. First of all, I was not directed to the UPSD website calculator. I was instead scolded by Attorney Bruce that no one can predict. There are too many unknown variables, is what you said to me. And then I was cut off by Superintendent McGloin. During the time of the meeting, there was no UPSD website calculator. And if you look through the video of January 12th meeting, there was no time that I was directed to the website calculator. I don't know why you would lie about this on the minutes document, but I would like it corrected.
Okay, those minutes were already approved. I did use the video to do the minutes. I'll go back and check.
You lied.
Well, I didn't lie. I listened to the minutes.
I'm not name calling. It's a lie. There was no website.
You saying she will go back and review it and then we will get back.
There is a fact that there was no website calculator at the time, and I was never directed to it.
Now that you called our attention to it, we will go back and review it, and if we were at fault, we will tell you about it.
And it'd be great if someone could tell me why someone would lie about that. Now I have questions. After the January 12th meeting, the district emailed the UPSD parents some tax information. In paragraph 3 of the email, it states, this increase only includes construction costs. Do you only continue to give us construction costs because our taxes will not be affected by any other school expenses for the next 4 years? For instance, construction costs for the new middle school is over $46 million, with an expected 8.62 increase over the next 4 years. But the maximum project cost is $59 million. The difference is an additional $12 million plus. Will this additional $12 million raise our taxes above 8.62%? Also, what about our usual increase for basic school overhead costs? Will that be in addition to the 8.62%? What about the millions of dollars in repairs needed at our other schools according to the feasibility study? Will these expenses be in addition to the 8.62% in the next 4 years? Reimbursement to Quad Graphics, will this also increase our taxes? What I asked about are not unknown variables. And these costs can be predicted. I asked the school district again to give us a realistic account of our taxes and how they are going to rise in the next 4 to 5 years based on all of the school district's expected expenses, not just construction costs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Vicki Lycat, Pennsburg Borough. A couple weeks ago, I had addressed the board in certain issues that were facing Pennsburg. Nobody has reached out to us to talk to us about putting money aside for a possible signal, even though I have attended Upper Hanover meetings and had a staff meeting, and it was said that there is that possibility, and that's an off-site improvement. Will that be part of this stipulation settlement? Has there been a bond or a letter of credit set aside for the residents of Pennsburg who are across the street, just in case the blasting does happen to be an issue and they get cracks in their walls, foundation, water systems? Has anybody, I mean, I know there was drawings dropped off to us today, but nobody since our staff meeting has reached out to us with answers that we presented at the staff meeting. Anybody have anything that you can help us with?
I can respond with respect to anything that has to do with the stipulation. That to the extent that there's a question about what's in stipulation, Mr. Hosterman has reached out to your solicitor and has had conversations with your solicitor, so that would be the line of communication there.
Well, we talked about that night. That's why I'm here still asking these questions.
I understand, but I just wanted to make sure you knew where the lines of communication was going with respect
Oh, I know
to
where the lines of communication
with that
are.
particular issue. I can't respond to the rest of that.
Okay. Again, has there been a letter of credit? Because that wasn't, is our residents being looked at? I mean, are you taking that into consideration?
I would say we're taking your residents into consideration all the way through the whole entire project. So the answer to that piece is yes, but I'm not sure what you talked about at the staff meeting. I'll be happy to talk with you about it after it's over, so I know what that is, though.
Well, we can't wait till after it's over.
No, I mean,
We
after
need
this
to.
is over tonight, that's all I meant.
Okay,
Because
because
I don't
this
know-
was brought up during the staff meeting.
Right, but I wasn't there, so I don't know what was brought up, so I could have a conversation with you after this is over.
You were at the staff meeting.
Is that the one that you're, so
Yeah.
is that what you're calling a staff meeting?
Yes.
Yes, I was there, but I didn't realize that was what you were calling
Yeah,
a
because
staff
we had
meeting.
talked about it at that, well, we call it a staff meeting.
Okay.
When lawyers, engineers all come in the room together with representatives, so.
Was I there?
Yeah. You were.
This is not recent, right?
This is intended, I believe it was in late January.
Yeah,
That's what's
late January.
confusing. She's thinking it just happened now, that's what I'm
No,
saying.
we haven't had anything since January, that's what I'm getting at.
I actually did get confused about the term though, but yes, now that we're on the same
No,
page.
we consider that a staff meeting when everybody
Okay.
gets together with their lawyers and engineers.
Okay, I'll let Mr. Warren go ahead and address that since he was also there as well.
So we heard your considerations as well, and we're taking those into, let me make sure I can move this forward so everyone can hear me. Is that good, guys? Okay. We are taking that into consideration, and I believe we discussed at that meeting that in terms of the explosions, or that was getting evaluated, and at the time and place, if there was the opportunity that explosions would happen, we would revisit and additionally consider the residents and what we would have to do in that place.
Okay, we haven't seen anything, we know that the core
We're-
things were done, so I was curious of whether or not.
I'm not sure those reports are finalized to figure out.
They're not
what-
finalized yet, okay.
So that's
Okay.
that one piece, and the other option that you discussed, we have been discussing and considering that as well.
Okay, because this and also the safety of the kids is very important, especially since that grant was to help us get sidewalks, so the kids had sidewalks to walk on. So now we're kind of like praying and hoping there's awful lot of money out there.
Ms. Lightcap, I
Yes.
100% agree with you. I believe the board is trying to do the best thing for the children and the safety of those children. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And I do appreciate you standing up and staying here, and you did put in a grant the same as we did. Is there any possibility? I mean, you did.
I don't know, I've been talking
staff
to them and they were, like, in speaking with them, they were surprised at the fact that the school district did reach out to us to try and work this out together, and so.
So what's your thought on any kind of future?
I don't know, we're kind of just like,
projects?
yeah, we're just keep moving forward, that's all we can do. That's all we can do. And try and protect our residents and the children.
I do hope that we can have a collaborative effort.
We can always talk, I'm always willing to talk, you know that.
I do, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Mark Mancini, Hereford Township. With respect to what Mrs. Shive had said, I had asked that question a couple meetings ago, where the money's coming from, unless I missed it at a meeting, to pay back Quad Graphics, along with how we're going to maintain the 6th building, all that stuff. I mean, can we actually get an answer for that? This is the second time I'm asking. The other thing is a comment, I think. I sat in on 6 township meetings consecutive, and only one school board member was there. Don't tell me who you were. I saw you, and I even asked there, does a school board member, any of them show up? And I got some answers, and my question is, how do you get a non-biased information when there's no transcripts or recordings of that those meetings? Like, how's the board getting information to vote on this stuff with the sidewalks and all that when they're not there? I know you may not be required to be there, but when we're spending $60 to $100 million for a school, and I'm going to project it's going to be over $100 million with interest till this is done, I really would like to know how we're getting this information to the school board that we elected you people to, do the right thing for us. Thank you.
Facilities, you asked about how do we update our facilities. So we have John Sheeran, our facilities director, does a 5-year plan that gets updated annually, and he just gave it to me. We've been working on it actually, I guess, for probably the last couple months. And in that plan, it is about updating all of our facilities. He's been doing that for years, and that's how we keep our facilities updated. We are taking into account the facility study as well, because that's important for us to consider. Does it mean that so that's what's happening. So, and on our facility, on the 5-year study, or the 5-year plan rather, it actually lists what number they are in the facility study too. So some of it actually is processed through our operating budget. A lot of it is because that's what we do to upkeep our facilities, and some of it will have to be capital, which has been, like for instance, roofs. We've done some roofs this year that were part of the facility study, but we needed to do them. And so they came under our capital, and we have money in capital reserve accounts for those types of things as well. But we are absolutely paying attention to that and on top of that. And Sandy, why don't you just answer the quad question, please?
Quad will come out of our operating budget, the general fund. Some of the funds were set aside already for tax appeals. The balance is, the way we have the agreement set up, is that part of it will come out of this year and part will come out of next year. Now, having said that, the stipulation agreement hasn't been signed yet, so nothing's been paid out because we have to wait till we get court approval.
Kathy Davidson, Pennsburg. I just have a question. It did turn out that my question was an agenda question, but I am asking now. The board communication website line, I believe you said that you did get one inquiry in the last week or so.
And I apologize, I work like 50 hours a week, I do a lot of stuff with my kids, and I'm sorry.
So now I'm asking, what is the best way, if I can't get my questions answered in this forum, to contact and get a question that I might have, general question answered from someone on the board? I don't know where to go.
Send an email.
Tell you what, since I'm the one that talks, do you want to talk after the meeting and tell me what your question is? And then we can exchange emails?
I just
Would
wasn't
that be
sure
cool?
who I was to direct my question to, so I directed it
Email
to the
all the
site.
board.
Or you could email everybody if you want to.
And all of your emails are on the website. Okay. Thank you. My next, it's not really a question, it's just a astonishment. Your addendum A with your, the S4 teachers, and Ms. Riccardi was saying, I believe she was expressing some amazement also in the pay rates of $8.57 and $9.38 and such. And it was my understanding that you pull from a pool, and some of these people are local former employees or local residents, that type of a thing. And reflecting back to the astonishment of the pay rate here, that these employees or temporary employees or substitutes would be paid. These are also the people making this $8.57 and $9.38 that will also be paying from these monies the taxes for the middle school. And I am also astonished at these figures, that how low they are. And that's, I just wanted to voice that. Thank you very much.
Just a couple comments. Melanie Cunningham, Upper Hanover. The one question was, have any board members been to an Upper Hanover meeting lately? Because no, I haven't seen any. Well, once in a while. I'd really be interested in the cost for busing the kids that aren't allowed to walk on Montgomery Avenue. And one last comment, the district has 7, I just was at the Recorder of Deeds on Monday, and the district at the high school area, the Montgomery Avenue area, I'm gonna call it, has 7 properties. And I read somewhere that, well, actually, on the Plan Con A, the project history, it states that the new 6th, 7th, 8th grade school, and this is on the summary of owned buildings and land, says that the new 6th, 7th, 8th grade school has a site size of 43 acres. When in fact, I think where you're going to put it is 11.42 acres, and you're taking 2 properties, which is 32.33 and 11.42, and you're going to deed them as 1 property, and that becomes 43 acres. So you really only had 1 property. That's the small one, because the big one, the 32 acres, is all the fields. So that's all. Comment.
Any other comments?
I got one quick thing.
My first comment is that the next time there's a board
Excuse
meeting,
me,
you'll
what's
have
your name?
Bernadette Smith, Upper Hanover Township. My first comment is the next time there's a board meeting, it's called for 7 and you have a pre-meeting, it would be really courteous if you would come out and tell the taxpayers, we'll be out soon, we're busy. So we're not sitting here wondering what's going on. The second thing is the young man you talked about that did so well, and what grade is he in?
6th grade.
What school does he go to?
Middle school.
That horrible school, and he did so well. That's amazing. drove on Montgomery Avenue when school was letting out. Do it sometime. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. I'll accept fault from that. I'm the one that called that meeting at 6 o'clock, so I'm very sorry about that. Thank you.
Like I said, you could have come out and told us.
I'm sorry. Any other comments?
Art Scheib, Marlboro Township. Just two real quick questions. I'm keep noticing that the state has no money in their budget. They keep talking about budget cuts and state police and everything else. Is there any update on any status of the money coming from PlanCon proposed for this new middle school? And also the LEAD grant, which I'm assuming is state money, as well as now the intermodal grant. So there's 3 grants in play and money from the state coming that you're expecting. Is there any updates on any of that? My second question is, how can the school board allow a single source contractor for the feasibility, the planning of the new school, and then be involved with the Act 34 submission as it's been reported? There seems to be one person driving this whole thing. It's Mr. Breslin. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Board comment?
I had a comment. So, people in the district and people on Facebook might have seen there was an email about STEM at the middle school that brought up some concerns. So that was a little surprising to me that there were these concerns that I never heard about specifically as a proposal, as a problem. So I followed up on it, and just as a note to the people in the audience, we're going to have a STEM walkthrough of the middle school tomorrow to see what problems are there and what can be addressed in the short term. Some of them sounded like they may be simple fixes, some of them may be bigger fixes, I don't know. But for people who don't know, I'm actually a chemist, so I do STEM for a living. And I built 4 labs in various different employers, for various different employers, so I have a little bit of knowledge on it. So Dr. McGlynn was nice enough to offer that as a tour. Rayanne had added an addendum on that to look at the high school as well, but that's what's going to be going on tomorrow. So I'm hoping that we can get a good feel for what's going on, what's needed. And even if we do get a new middle school, we're still going to have a high school that's going to need some attention. So I'm hoping that in a future workshop, we might be able to give some kind of an update on what we found and maybe a STEM, a 5-year plan. But I just wanted to let people know that's something that's going on in the background.
Okay, I'll go. I feel like I have to address 76 because there's been so much conversation about it. I'm actually happy that there's conversation about it, but I wasn't prepared to respond at the time that Kim was calling out for comments. So now that I had some time to address it, I just wanted to say that the property tax elimination bill has been in the works for the better part of 13 years, maybe even 15 years. I've only been involved in it for the last 4, and I can tell you that this is close to being brought up. I know that they're up here saying that it's not, and I'm going to disagree with them, because this is the closest we've ever come to actually passing the fact that the PSBA is working with the teachers union to actually get the word out there that it's not good, it's not a good bill, it's not a good bill. And there's a lot of miscommunication, and I should say misleading information out there. So if you have time, I'd like you to check out a website. It's www.ptcc.us. It's the Pennsylvania Tax Cyber Coalition. They have a whole bunch of information out there from the beginning. They have tax calculators out there because, yes, it is a tax swap. It's actually going to a tax shift. It actually goes across a broader tax base rather than just homeowners. The fair funding formula was already passed a couple years ago, so that was part of how they're going to distribute the money. The The tax increases will be in earned income and sales tax. The earned income, so basically, the more you earn, the more you pay. And when you retire and you earn less, you pay less. Because no tax should be able to leave you homeless, and that's why I agree with this. To give you an idea how old property tax process is on funding schools, Dr. Benjamin Rush was the one who actually proposed funding schools through property taxes, and he died in 1813, just to give you an idea. And basically, it was based on the size of your farm would dictate the size of your tax bill, because the bigger your farm, the more money you actually made. Most of us don't live on farms anymore, and most of our homes don't make us money, they cost us a lot of money. So I believe that no tax should leave you with the ability to leave you homeless. So you can join us on Facebook. There is a Facebook page for the Pennsylvania Tax Cyber Coalition, has over 13,000 members. Every other week, they hit a different part of Pennsylvania and blanket and canvass the area. The only reason you haven't seen them canvassing this area is because Marcy Topol is in agreement or in support of it. Justin Simmons is a co-sponsor for it, and Bob Mensch is also for it. So the fact that all three of them are for it, this area is not getting any attention because they're already for it. But I'm telling you, it's out there, and every other week we visit a different area of the state, and we blanket the state with flyers, and we talk to people, and that's why it's growing. And we also answer letters to the editor for or against it, and it's been a big marketing campaign on both sides. So that's what makes me think this will actually pass very soon.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So on a separate topic, I found something out over the past weekend. I'm not very good at basketball. I think Mr. Gaiman could vouch for me. But we had a great community event with the Harlem Wizards coming in, and it was really exciting to see the joy that was coming out of the kids in that event. And I appreciate all the efforts of the people that put that in place, in addition to the people that participated in it. Even we had Mr. Elliott in there, and we had Mr. Gaiman and myself from a board perspective, and then we had teachers and other administrators there. So it was a great event, and I look forward to continuing to do something similar like that.
Yeah, I never saw a jock miss so many laughs.
I saw Mike score a basket. Did you get any baskets?
I think I had 2, but I missed like 6.
Just checking. Mrs. Smith?
The comment that the board has not been at the Upper Hanover meetings, one of the reasons I have not been at the meetings is because Upper Hanover, two of the people reached out to us to meet, and we met with them about this. Myself and John Warren met, okay? And we also attended another Upper Hanover meeting specifically about this. So, we have been apprised of this, and one of the things that's, it's been over 2 months, so this has not been a slow process. A quick process, I should say. It's been a very slow process. So, it's not lack of concern. There's lots of concern, there's lots of interest, and there's been, the primary thing is it's safety. And most of the meeting in there, why we were late, was talking about safety of kids, okay?